This is part 3 of the Canon 5D Classic Mk1 camera. If you're thinking about buying one second hand, I just thought I'd make this part of the video just about buying equipment. Obviously through using the cameras I've been able to see out buying quite a few what can go wrong with them. Every camera I've owned has been a bit like a car. There's these hidden faults that come out when they first introduce the camera. They try very hard to obviously not have callbacks on cameras and cars for that matter, but camera bodies are like cars, and they come with standard faults, and you find if you buy a later model with serial numbers, they've actually got a lot of these things right. One of the biggest things you'll see with the Canon 5D, I'm going to show you the mirror quickly. I'll try and do a still of the mirror. One of the standard faults with the Canon 5D Mark 1 is under a lot of use, you do get the mirrors falling off these cameras. Both the bodies I've had have had the mirrors fall straight off. One was at a wedding, just as a bride was walking through the entrance to the, well, just before the entrance to the church. My viewfinder completely blacked out, and I thought, oh no, what's happened? And I didn't even know this fault. I've been using the camera for quite a few years, and it blacked out. I thought, what's gone wrong? Has the shutter mechanism gone? I pulled the lens off, and literally the mirror fell straight out on the floor. The look on the bride's face obviously was not very good, and then she started laughing, and Dad started laughing, and obviously I wasn't laughing, but I said I've got to run, because I'm, you know, another good reason actually for using two bodies at a wedding may be to have one body on each shoulder. I switch between two bodies and one body. I've done lots of different setups with the 5Ds, but the mirror had fallen off, and I had to run and get my second body, which was in the boot of the car, and run back again and carry on with the wedding. So the mirrors fall off them. You can check the mirrors when you're buying second hand. They do look different. When I sent mine away, Canon replaced them free. That was 2015. I've been told that there's not, they've stopped fixing them now. They could only do it for so long. And Fixation have told me, which is a company down south who carry out the camera repairs, they've told me that there's a limited time they can replace the mirrors now. So this is a problem, and what we've ended up doing is looking towards the internet. If you start searching on Google for this problem, you will find that people are actually doing their own DIY fixes. So let me just have a look quickly at the mirror. See whether we can get it to zoom in with a bit of light, hopefully. Don't know how far we'll go in. But the mirror, on the side of the mirror, is some reinforcement strips. If you had two 5Ds next to each other, one without and one with, then you would definitely notice the difference. I can spot it. There's a strip that runs straight down the edge. As I say, I'll try and put a still because this isn't working brilliantly. You've got a reflection on the mirror. Hopefully we can see this strip, and I'll maybe put an arrow to it. It's very important to know that. For a start, you can use it for bargaining. So I actually, if I'm going to buy a 5D body, I will not pay through the nose for it, because I know at some stage that mirror is going to come off. There is a way of fixing them now. I'm going to start hopefully doing a service on these cameras, replacing the mirrors from now on, using the existing mirror. So if your mirror does come off, just stick it somewhere safe, and we'll take a look at repairing them for you. The 5D, we need to keep this camera running basically, and I think hopefully as people realise that these older cameras are still as, you know, as as good as the new ones, to be honest with you. We can keep repairing them, keep them going. Cameras should go forever. Companies do stop making the spares. They've done it with the 1DX and the battery. You know, it's sort of, how are we going to keep these cameras going? Mechanical cameras used to go on forever because you could actually make the parts. I remember making a Nikon part out of brass to keep it going on the shutter. But anyway, so that's one fault on the 5D that is a definite look at, is the reinforcement on the mirror. You want one that's been done. Online, I literally phone the company up who are selling the camera and I say, take a photograph of the mirror. If I look at that mirror and there's no reinforcement down the edge, then usually I don't buy it, to be honest. But if I'm going to buy it, I usually alert them to the fact it hasn't been done. And a lot of them don't even know it hasn't been done, because unless you can see the reinforcement strip and you're used to looking at these mirrors, how would you know? Another problem I've found on a recent 5D, which shocked me, to be honest with you, is, let's have a go at zooming in. I've never done this before. Samsung zooming in. Does it work? Yes, we go. So on the hot shoe, on the top, I fixed a 580 to it, and I had movement on the hot shoe. And I don't mean standard movement. You'll always have something there, because, you know, tiny bit. Excuse me. But the actual hot shoe was moving. Now, that was fixed, so that was sent to somewhere to be fixed. So watch out for that. So in the shop, just put your flash gun on top of it. Ask them if you can put one on, and make sure the hot shoe is nice and solid. And that wasn't particularly a well-worn camera. I mean, the hot shoe looked a bit like the one you can see here. And this is a big giveaway with 5Ds. It's very easy to tell how much, obviously, flash use it's had. And people that tend to use flashes tend to be wedding photographers. Now, if this camera's been with me for a good while now, and I've been doing a lot of, you know, flash has been going on and off of that camera, sliding it on and off, 580EX, and as you can see, there's not many marks. So it's another giveaway as to how old the camera is. One big thing with the 5D, and please correct me if I'm wrong and put anything in the comments below, because I'd love to know if there's a piece of software where you can actually show the shutter actuations for the camera, which is another big giveaway of how much it's being used. So I've always been told you cannot find the number of shutter actuations for a 5D Mark 1. Then other people say, yeah, we've got this bit of software, we use this. So if you've got any links or any idea where I could get this piece of software, or send it off somewhere to get the actuations on a body, just put it in the comments below. That would be great. Or any thoughts you've got on the 5D. I mean, there's people who've been using these cameras as much as I have, and any general faults that we can all look out for when we're buying them always helps. I've always found the top dial. I've never had a problem with that. That's solid as a rock, and that's always worked well. So no problem at all. The lights always worked. So yes, no problems with any of the buttons, and this is one of the reasons that I keep these cameras. One button, sorry, the buttons on the top, shutter release has always been fine. If we can get zoom in on that, we can see one button to look out for is the zoom in, zoom out. When you press play button, and then you're zooming in and zooming out of your image, take a look. Just have a look and make sure that you can do that very easily. Because another 5D I've had, obviously you're doing this all the time at a wedding. Well, well, a lot of people do. I mean, as you get more into weddings, you do it less and less because you know what you're coming back with, but we'll go into that another day. But these buttons can become very sticky, and I've had a 5D where you could press on the zoom in and it delays and it won't zoom in, and it's a bit sticky. So obviously the buttons that get used a lot, the play button, again, I've not had a play button go wrong, but the zoom in, zoom out for your image, take a look at that. The back dials, I've never had any problems with any 5Ds on this. They're absolutely fine. The scrolling wheel, which is obviously, once you get into this wheel, by the way, when you've used other cameras, this is one of the best things about 5D in my opinion, from a usability, is that wheel. But you know, this is all solid stuff. This was really well made, well built. The buttons up here, I've never had any problems with those. The bin button, not a problem at all. The battery grip, I'll just zoom out a bit now. The battery grip has always been absolutely solid on the body. Another thing to look out for if you're looking at other cameras is when these battery grips go onto the cameras, you can get problems with third-party grips. But the contacts, people damage these contacts. So if you're going to buy a grip, just have a look at these, because if that was in a camera bag, they're very easy to bend. So just take a look at that. I would tend to buy the bodies with the battery grip if I can, because A, I use battery grips all the time. B, you might find that they tend to give you two batteries with them, so it's well worth buying the battery grip with the camera. You know, this is absolutely brilliant for portrait work. But yeah, just watch out for the pins on top of that. The door has always been solid. I've never found a problem with any of the stuff I've bought as far as the door. It's been absolutely fine. Batteries are always just very good. So yeah, battery grip's fine. Looking in the bottom of the camera, you will never have any real problems down there. I mean, look at serial numbers. You can see the serial number of this one. Need to do a little bit of research. I'll tell you about a certain thing with the sensors on these cameras, which is well worth looking at. But yeah, always ask them what the serial number is and go from there. So as far as new and old 5Ds, one thing to take a look at with the really old ones is when you're cleaning the sensor, there's a recommendation. They actually changed the coating on the low pass filter. There was some change, and they started using a different low pass filter. I had a very, very early 5D. I mean, I think I had the 5D Mark 1 literally as it hit the shop. You know, as it was there, I bought it with the 24-105 and the battery grip the same day, and then I bought a second 5D body a few years later, because I thought the first one was on its way out because it had a lot of use, and because I wanted to try out two bodies. I was actually backing up the bodies with more the APC range of cameras, so it was more like 40D I had then as a backup. But anyway, bought the new 5D, and I found there was a slight difference to the images. Now, this is going to be hard to quantify or look into, but at the end of the day, look out for when you're cleaning the sensors on these cameras. I swear that the camera shops are just not going to know this information. If you took your camera into London Camera Exchange or someone and they just clean it, I really do doubt they're going to know about the fact that you use a different cleaning fluid for the one sensor. Again, put in the comments below. If you run a cleaning company of cleaning sensors, please comment below if you can tell us anything about this. But I remember reading it when I was researching why the mirror flew off, and I looked at the fact that they changed the low pass filter. Whether it was a different manufacturer, different coating, there was something about the sensor. So be a bit careful with that one. Again, as far as cleaning the sensor is concerned, or any maintenance on the 5D, let me know in the comments if you've got a 5D and you like the idea of having sensor cleaned, mirror reinforced. Just looking at keeping these cameras going, so it's something, a service I'm going to be looking into doing for you. So it will be a full sensor clean, and it will be change the mirror, reinforce the mirror, and generally servicing the 5D Mark 1. So another thing to look at with the 5D is what gives away, well, which ones to buy and which ones not to buy, as far as wear and tear is concerned. Now, have a good look around the grip. I know this is obvious for any camera you're buying, but this camera has had so much use you would not believe. And mine's clean. Now, half the ones you're looking on eBay and seeing, and you think they're battered, just bear in mind that you're just seeing that from a professional wedding photographer, but I actually look after the equipment. It spends its life in a bag, and then it's around my neck, and then it's in a bag, and it's kept, you know, how camera equipment should be. So just bear in mind, do not buy old battered camera equipment. If you looked at the difference between an immaculate 5D that's probably been owned by an enthusiastic amateur who's moved on to the Mark II, Mark III, whatever, and you compare that to, let's say, professionally used camera that's just been thrown around, maybe stuck on a drone, put in the air and crashed. If you look at the difference in price, you're probably talking £50, and I'm not exaggerating. That is the difference between buying an extremely good 5D and a completely battered 5D. So it's not worth buying the ones that don't look too great. People will say I'm talking rubbish there and you should buy it. Granted, buy it if they're selling it for £100, but you can get the really immaculate ones for, you know, £300, £350 you can get an immaculate 5D. So don't bother buying anything. The final thing is, if you do need a 5D, just let me again know in the comments below, or give me an email. You can go to my website, richardbarley.co.uk, got a contact form. Anything about these 5Ds, whether it's buying them, having them serviced, just let me know. I'm looking, well, more than looking, I'm supplying 5D Mark 1s now. You know, it's getting the right ones. That's all I can say. Don't buy an old battered one. If you can't get one via me, London Camera Exchange is always worth looking at, your local one, so you can actually go in and have a look at it. They offer a 6-month warranty, but as I say, have a look in the comments below and just let me know what you think. Any standard faults that you're finding with your 5Ds, or 1Ds or 1DXs, whatever, just put them in the comments below so other people know what to look out for. Someone did that with a comment this week from the last video, and they actually said look out for, I think it was, there you go, top wheel. So they'd had a problem with the sticky top wheel where they were turning it, it wasn't selecting the shutter speeds. Again, that's something I've never had a problem with. I'm a manual photographer. I am literally touching that to tweak it backwards and forwards, you know, very little. So that does not get a lot of use, really. It's not like I'm whizzing it around all day like that. It's literally going probably from a 3/20th to a 200th, you know. So have a look at that and just check every button, really. The best advice I can give you really is to buy it from someone like me who's checked them out, or from London Camera Exchange where you've got the warranty on it and you can take it back if you have any problems. Hope that helps. That's part 3. I'll be doing, I think this is going to get up to about 300 parts by the time I finish, but no, that's part 3. We're going to look at settings of the camera and how to set the menus up and custom functions. So hope that helps. Okay.